Now, the first player we are going to be talking about is Jack Grealish, and I am going to be putting him in the decent category. Just the 3 goals and 5 assists for Jack Grealish. We all know his creativity, and we all know how important he was in the treble-winning season. But whenever we talk about Jack Grealish, we always have to talk about what he did 2 years ago. Remember, he ended 2024 without scoring a single goal for a calendar year. I believe it was 16 months without scoring a goal for Manchester City. There are rumors of him leaving Manchester City, and if true, I will be making a video solely on Jack Grealish because I want him to go back to a club where he's not under this Pep Guardiola possession regimen and show everybody how talented he really is. Unfortunately, I still have to judge about what I saw on the pitch. Allergic to shooting, allergic to taking players on. Jack Grealish, especially in those creative moments in those early FA Cup games in the middle of the park, was exquisite, but on the wing just didn't show as much as we would have expected from Jack Grealish. Decent seasons. Next up is Jeremy Doku. It's between amazing and good for me. I am going to say good for Jeremy Doku. He had a little bit more goals, a little bit more assists than Jack Grealish. But however, City fans have been crying for a winger to take players on, and obviously with frustrations from Jack Grealish himself, and then we get a player like Jeremy Doku who takes players on, shows a lot of effort every single game, and City fans are still unsatisfied. Doku has popped up in some really big moments this year. Obviously, that winning assist against Aston Villa in the 94th minute was absolutely stunning. We all know how quick and explosive Jeremy Doku is. If he can get a shot, he's going to be one of the best wingers in world football. Honestly, good season from Jeremy Doku. Next up is Nico Gonzalez, and this is the first player in the amazing category. Honestly, this is a no-brainer here. He hasn't played too much for Manchester City since arriving from January, but however, the moments that he did have, he's been absolutely stunning. He elevates everybody around him. That's what a central defensive midfielder should do. He's been nothing short of sensational for Manchester City. Obviously, there have been some rumors with Abdulkadir and Nico. If those players played a certain amount of games, we would have to be paying a little bit more money to those respective clubs. Maybe that's why we didn't see Nico for a lot of games. Regardless, I want to see Nico Gonzalez as a starter next season. Not a bench player, but as a starter alongside Rodri. Speaking of Rodri, I'm going to obviously put him in this does not apply area. Obviously with the injury, best player in the world if injuries aren't taken into account. Again, this is pretty relative to a specific player. So Kevin De Bruyne, I'm going to say it's either good or decent. I'm just going to say a good season from Kevin De Bruyne. I didn't expect too much from him, but it is his last season. I mean, it would be really weird if I put him in that decent / subpar category. If it was up to me, Kevin De Bruyne would be staying for another season. However, it is looking like a business move from Khaldoon and Sheikh Mansour and Pep Guardiola and the entire Manchester City staff and boardroom. He's on a huge amount of wages each and every month, and he's on his way down. We saw the massive decline in Kevin De Bruyne this season. However, those free kicks that he scored, that free kick against Crystal Palace, Kevin De Bruyne, honestly, from what I expected, he delivered on most of it. However, there were a lot of shots and a lot of misplaced passes, and he just doesn't have the legs to continue. Regardless, good season from Kevin De Bruyne. Next up, we got Stefan Ortega, and there's not too much to be said. He didn't play a whole lot of minutes this season, and in those minutes, especially in the early Champions League games, early FA Cup games, he was decent. His distribution still needs a little bit of work, in my opinion, but his shot stopping is incredible. He's a solid backup keeper. Decent season from him. Now, this might be controversial, and I know everybody's going to call me extremely biased, but İlkay Gündoğan, I'm going to say a good season for him, and the main reason is because of Nico Gonzalez. When İlkay Gündoğan is playing in those defensive positions, relying on him for defensive outputs, tracking back in counterattacks against players half his age, he doesn't have the legs for it, obviously, and it's, I think it's pretty harsh that we're judging him, and I've obviously judged him. My hands are not clean in that either. I will admit that to you. However, when Nico Gonzalez is playing and it relieves Gündoğan of those defensive abilities, Gündoğan has been nothing short of sensational in the last couple of games. Big moments from a huge clutch player in a history. Good season from İlkay Gündoğan. Next up, we got Bernardo Silva, and I'm going to say a decent season from him. It was between good and decent, but I'm going to say decent. A huge, big frustration for Manchester City fans watching Bernardo Silva is his hold-up play and Pep Guardiola's, favoritism from obviously we would like to see players like Savinho, James McAtee get a lot more minutes, and Phil Foden, even for that matter, a lot more minutes on that right-hand side. but it just hasn't worked out. I would love Bernardo Silva to stay. I want him to stay. I don't want him to leave. He is a exquisite player. I rate him so highly. That's why I expected him to do a lot better. That is why he's in the decent category and not in the good or amazing category. I expect a lot from Bernardo Silva. When he's on his day, he's one of the best players to watch in world football. His dribbling and his ball control is second to none. He is incredible, absolutely scintillating football player on his day. However, just the nonchalant passing, backwards when we're down a goal or 2 goals, it was a little bit frustrating. There were a lot of games where he just didn't perform as well as I would have liked. However, I love Bernardo Silva. You all love Bernardo Silva. Decent season from Bernardo Silva. I want him to continue. And next up, we got Vitor Reis. I'm going to put in the does not apply category. Not too many minutes for Vitor Reis. Nothing much to be said. Next up, in my opinion, we have our player of the season. No doubt this is an absolute no-brainer. Yoshko Gvardiol, in my opinion, is one of 2 generationally talented players that we have at Manchester City. I mean, that's Erling Braut Haaland and Yoshko Gvardiol, our player of the season. No doubt in my mind, there's not really much to be said. It's an easy decision here. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Manuel Akanji, a man who, in my opinion, should be arrested for his horrible lip-syncing to Drake's songs right after games after giving the opponents 4 or 5 easy counterattacks and 10 shots on target in the first 20 fucking minutes of every single game. I love Manuel Akanji for what he's done for Manchester City, but this season has been nothing short of a disaster for Manuel Akanji. He's been found out this season. It's not really his age. He's not even in his mid-30s. Okay, he's not even that old. He's just not showing a lot of effort in games, and it's frustrating to see. Obviously, I want him to stay. I love Manuel Akanji. I just want him to improve next season. However, this season, subpar. And if not for Yoshko Gvardiol, this guy would have been my player of the season. In my opinion, he is our most improved player for this season. Matheus Nunes, absolutely stunning player. I mean, not only the goal against Aston Villa in the 94th minute, but if you actually watch the game from 0 to 90, the defensive work rate that Matheus Nunes did in that game was nothing short of sensational. Matheus Nunes, his defensive output, remember this is a box-to-box midfielder playing out of position as a right back. Sensational. He's come up with big goals, big assists, and big tackles for us this season. In my opinion, our player of the season, if not for Yoshko Gvardiol. Next up, we go Ruben Diaz, and this might be controversial, but it's between subpar and decent for me. I'm going to give him the respect that he deserves and put him in decent. This guy should be the best defender in the league, in my opinion. He should be taking up that mantle. Virgil van Dijk is on the way down. He's still the best defender in the league. He's definitely up there, top 2 or top 3 right now. But Ruben Diaz, in my opinion, has lost his world-class status, in my opinion. I'm just being brutally honest. So I'm going to say decent season because I remember a lot of amazing tackles that he had this season. I hope he can come back because if he does, we should be a very solid team defensively, especially with our incoming transfers. Echa Messi does not apply / not available. Not too much to be seen here. I don't want him to go on loan. I want him to play at Manchester City in the first team next year. Next, we got Ederson, and I'm going to say a good season from Ederson. Again, no Manchester City fan thinks that Ederson is an all-time goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers we've ever seen. I mean, Ederson, if you ask legitimate Manchester City fans, we all think that Ederson is a good keeper. He's a great keeper for our system and our style of play. He did what he was supposed to do, and he's staying next season, and I couldn't be happier. Next up, we got Scott Carson. Amazing season from Scott Carson. Did not concede 1 fucking goal all season. Exquisite. Next up, we got Abdulkadir Khusanovh. If you ask any fucking commentator whenever he plays in a match, he'd be putting him in subpar. Why? Because of his first 5 minutes against Chelsea. You could ask any commentator in 2087, they'll still talk about Abdulkadir's first 5 minutes against Chelsea. Fuck all of you. Abdulkadir, amazing season for Manchester City. This guy completely shut down Vinicius Jr. at the Bernabeu. He was absolutely stunning. Vinicius Jr. couldn't do a damn thing against Abdulkadir. He couldn't even outpace Abdulkadir. I want this boy to be playing as many minutes as he possibly can next season. A starter for Manchester City. A starter, not a bench player, a starter. Next up is Philip Foden, and this is a pretty easy decision for me. Subpar season from Philip Foden, and if you are an influencer, a lot of, Manchester City YouTubers and influencers that are affiliated with the club are not going to be saying what I'm about to say for Phil Foden. Horrific season, terrible, just subpar season from Phil Foden. I hope he can come back, and make no question, All right, and this might shock a lot of people, but a fully fit Phil Foden is worth more than a floating Verts, in my opinion. If Phil Foden can get back to his days from 2024, 2025, we are going to be basically adding another world-class, generational talented football player onto our squad next season. If he can come back, it's going to do us a world of good. If Phil Foden can regain his form, I swear to God, we are in pole position to win the Premier League and the Champions League next year. John Stones, I'm going to say decent season. Didn't play a whole lot of games for Manchester City. I think he had like 3 goals and 5 assists this season. He only played like 20 or so games. Obviously, we all love John Stones. And if he didn't have so many injury problems, we'd be looking at him as an all-timer in Premier League conversations. I am not kidding. We all love John Stones so much. I want him to stay. Hopefully, he can come in as like a bench squad player for next season and come in and fill in, for, our younger guys and Yoshko, Gvardiol, and Ruben Diaz. That's not to be disrespectful. It's just, injury, concern from him. Oscar Bobb, again, not available, does not apply, didn't have too many games this season. Obviously, he broke his leg. I want him to stay next season. I don't want him to be shipped out. Oscar Bobb is probably the only young player in which I would scream at the top of my lungs if we sold this summer to any other club or loaned him out. I don't want that to happen. I want Oscar Bobb to play at least 30 to 35 games next season. Same thing with John Stones. I'm going to say the same thing about Nathan Ake. Again, this is a cult hero at Manchester City, one of my all-time favorite players at Manchester City in that trouble season. He was one of the first names on the team sheet. Again, hasn't played a lot of minutes due to injury this season. One of the best one-on-one defenders in the Premier League on his day. Nathan Ake, love him. Simpson Pusey, honestly, it's between good and decent so far. I'm not going to say subpar because he is a young player. That is absolutely unfair. I'm going to say... I'm going to say a good season I'm going to say a decent season from JSP. He didn't have a whole lot of minutes. Obviously, he was forced to be playing against, in my opinion, the best striker in world football in Foreman, Victor Gyökeres. 76 goal involvements this season is absolutely remarkable. Again, in those small amount of games that he did play in the Champions League, I was impressed with his valor, his courage, and his strength to be put in that situation. It's very hard as a defender to be put in that situation because of our injury crisis. So I'm going to say decent season from JSP. I don't want him to be loaned out. I want him to be playing a lot of first team minutes next year, and I definitely think he's going to be ready. Marmoush, obviously amazing season, in my opinion, a top 3 or 4 Manchester City player this season. He's been nothing short of sensational for Manchester City. He's going to be an absolute machine for us. He didn't play for half of the Bundesliga season, and he was voted in the team of the season for the Bundesliga, which is absolutely remarkable. This guy is absolutely stunning. When I do get this season's jersey, next season's jersey, I am probably going to be putting Omar Marmoush, best Egyptian player I have ever seen in my life. Next up is Nico O'Reilly, and again, our unsung hero, or in my opinion, young player of the season. He's been nothing short of sensational. I mean, those amazing performances in the FA Cup. Remember, if it wasn't for Nico O'Reilly, we would have gotten knocked out in those early rounds in the FA Cup easily. This guy has been absolutely phenomenal for Manchester City. Should he be our starting left back? I mean, we could possibly be getting ait-nouri. We could possibly be seeing him playing in that inverted position, maybe a little bit higher up in that midfield. Regardless, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 season for Nico O'Reilly. Again, this is a left back. This is a central mid playing left back out of position, and he's done the world of good. One of the few young players at Manchester City that actually took his chances by the throat and actually performed well every single time. Next up, we got Mateo Kovacic, and like Ilkay Gundogan, because of the resurgence of Nico Gonzalez and the injury of Rodri, I think we were a little bit harsh as City fans for relying on Kovacic and Ilkay Gundogan, especially with their legs playing out of position, relying on them for the defensive outputs. But Mateo Kovacic is such a unique and interesting player. I don't want him to leave. I want him to stay for at least another season. He is extremely vital for those small passes into pockets of space between midfielders. He's a very direct player. He loves the attacking ball, and he's just nothing short of sensational. I love Mateo Kovacic. Extremely handsome and amazing person. Good season from Mateo Kovacic. Next up, we got Rico Lewis, and I'm going to say decent season from Rico Lewis, especially his highlight of this season. Obviously, that goal in the FA Cup against Nottingham Forest. That was an exquisite goal by Rico Lewis. However, when he does play, you can see the lack of physicality in this guy. He definitely needs to work on that in the offseason. And I've been saying this for months, and I'm going to be saying it until this guy puts on a lot of weight. If he can get his physicality up, I can see a starting defender for Manchester City in that right back position because he fits our fluidity. He's very good in those pockets of spaces. Next up, we got James McAtee, and I'm going to say a decent season from James McAtee. He didn't take his opportunities as well as Nico O'Reilly. However, there have been a lot of games where James McAtee has just been, put outside, just put in the 80th minute, and Pep Guardiola expects a miracle. I want this guy to be playing a lot more minutes. I don't want him to be loaned out. I love James McAtee. You all love James McAtee. He's an extremely talented football player. I mean, that pass from Ederson to James McAtee, and then he just scores directly against Crystal Palace, that amazing game that he had against Aston Villa. Remember, Omar Marmoush scored that equalizer because James McAtee spun around and chipped the ball to Kevin De Bruyne, and that was an exquisite play. I remember that from James McAtee. He definitely needs to take his chances next season, or else, unfortunately, this is going to be very unpopular. He is going to be loaned out. Next is Erling Braut Haaland. I'm going to say good season. It's between good and amazing. Again, he's our top goal scorer. 20-plus goals in the Premier League. Erling Braut Haaland is a generationally talented player. However, I still remember the misses and the miscues this season, the open chances and, the passage of plays that I didn't really like from Erling Braut Haaland this season. Generationally talented football player. On his day, the best striker in world football. He will be back next season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you made it this far in the video, thank you all so much. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. I would love to have you on board. I am starting medical school in a month and a half, and I'm going to take you all on that journey with me. Thank you so much for 10,000 views on both of my last two videos. Reactions to both Ryan Cherki, an Algerian beast, and another Algerian beast on the other side of the pitch in ait-nouri. Two potentially insane signings for Manchester City. Regardless, I think I did a pretty decent job with some of my ratings. Of course, whatever you think of the video, whatever you think about the ratings, if you agree, disagree, let me know down in the comments. And of course, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all next time.